I just allow this happen? Still in my thoughts, he leaned towards me, and as he was about to kiss me, we heard a knock on the door. We froze. It was almost midnight. Who could that be? I quickly adjusted myself and ran to hide in the bathroom because being in my father in law's room at that time of the night is rather suspicious. I started to panic a bit. What if it was Adam and he had decided to come back home tonight? Or even my mother in law, I thought. I couldn't help but think of so many things while I waited impatiently. I pressed my ears to the door, hoping to hear anything that might help me figure out how bad my situation would turn out. But all I could hear was my father in law's deep voice. I couldn't take the suspense anymore, so I sat on the floor, hoping and praying I was not in deep trouble. After about 10 minutes, I heard a knock on the bathroom door. I almost fainted. I wanted the ground to swallow me until I heard my father in law's voice. "Come out, dear," he said, which put my mind at ease. I opened the door and came out, asking who was at the door. He said it was one of the maids. I was surprised because last I checked, they were not supposed to be at the main mansion at that time of the night. So I asked what the emergency was, and he said she came to tell him that she would need to leave the next morning because her daughter was rushed to the hospital. I asked why she did not call him on the phone or even send a text. He laughed and said it was fine. She was the head maid in the house and had been with the family for years. So they had a relationship and he had no issues with her coming to knock directly on the door. I was still in shock, as I would not have been able to handle the situation if it had been my husband or my mother-in-law. The house was so big that they would have asked me what I was doing with him at that time of the night. Thank God it was the maid. I immediately adjusted myself and set to leave the room, but my father-in-law held me back. He asked me not to leave. Eh? After all this drama, I was already traumatized from the housekeeper knocking. I did not want to get into any more trouble, and besides, I was already tired. So I took the gift he bought for me and begged him that we speak the next morning. I left his room, and as soon as I got to mine, I heaved a sigh of relief. I tried to sleep, but I struggled, so I drank a glass of wine and then I went to bed. The next morning, I replayed what had happened last night in my head and I realized that I've been playing a dangerous game. What if the person at the door had been my husband or even my mother-in-law? The door was not even locked, I thought to myself. I did not even get the money I was hoping to get. Maybe it was time to take a step back, I reasoned, because if Adam ever suspected sin, that might just be the beginning of the end of my marriage. And I really don't want this marriage to end. I really needed to talk to Adam about putting me on an allowance because now that I have tasted money, I can't just pretend like I don't love it. I went to the bathroom to take a shower. I had already told the maid to bring my breakfast to my room as I did not want to eat with my father-in-law that morning. I hadn't recovered from what happened the night before, so I'd rather stay away from him till I'm fine. I freshened up and tried to get my thoughts together, then I heard my room door opened, and I turned only to see Adam, my husband. I was shocked because he never told me he was returning home that morning, but I was pretty excited because I had missed him. I hugged him tightly, relieved that it wasn't the night before he tried to surprise me. If not, I would have been in serious trouble. He looked at me and smiled and asked if I'd had breakfast. I replied no, and he said we should go downstairs to eat. I immediately shouted no. He looked at me and asked if I was okay. I cleared my throat and said yes, but I wanted to eat in my room. I told him I also wanted to talk to him about something very important. He told me he needed to get to the office that morning and we would talk when he gets back. I was sad because I thought we were going to spend the whole day together, as we rarely get to spend any time together. I was disappointed, but I said okay. I stayed in my room all day so I wouldn't bump into my father-in-law as I did not know how to manage my feelings just yet. I waited for Adam to get back because I really needed to talk about this money. Maybe this would put an end to me and my father-in-law's drama. As soon as he got back, I waited for him to have his shower and his dinner. Then I sat him down. Adam, I'd really like to start getting an allowance. I really don't need the money, at least spending when I start a business or get a job, I said to him. Adam was silent and I wondered why. I told him to say something and what he said was pretty annoying. You don't need an allowance, babe. You have all you need. What else do you need money for? My husband said. I couldn't believe he was asking what I needed money for. He even said if I needed clothes, shoes, or even bags, I could ask him and he would get them for me. Ha! What about my mom and my siblings? They need money too, I said to him. He said whenever they need money, I should tell him and he will give them. I was furious and we started to argue. I was really angry. And then he said, okay, if you want an allowance, I will think about it. I said, okay, still wondering why this whole allowance thing was such a big deal. Then Adam stood up to use the restroom. I was still mad at him, but relieved he was going to think about it. As I was still roaming in my thoughts, I heard a phone beep, and when I looked beside me, it was my husband's phone. A message popped up, and I picked up the phone, and what I saw almost killed me. Baby boy, thank you so much for the 5 million you sent. I wish we could go on this trip together. Love you. What? So Adam is cheating on me. And worse still, he's giving her this kind of money. Yet I am here begging for an allowance. Hmm. As I tried to wrap my head around this, my phone beeped, and when I looked at it, it was a text message from my father-in-law that reads, when am I seeing you, my dear? I smiled. Two can play this game, I thought. What do you think happened next? Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. So when I post the next episode, you'll be among the first to watch. Thank you and remain blessed.